Okay guys, this is another video from my very cold ass truck late at night because it is, like I said in the last video, it is very cold outside in Indiana. It's snowing and it's beautiful out here in Indiana when it snows, but this gives me some time to talk to you guys and do some YouTube content. We're going to talk a little bit about China today. We're going to talk about their deal with Iran, or between Iran and the Saudi Arabian, the SAE, Saudi Arabia, the crown princes over there. They brokered a deal between these two countries. But before we get started, I would love for you to go ahead and go down below and subscribe and like this video. If you guys like the content that we make here, go ahead and watch some other videos and see if you like anything else. I talk about a very wide range of topics, including the UFC, finance, crypto, manufacturing, small business, men's life, religion, politics, hobby farming, all different kinds of stuff. So go ahead and like the video, subscribe below, and let's talk about China. So Iran and Saudi Arabia have not been on good terms for a long time. There is a lot of history behind that, and I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth because I don't know the entire history of it. But if you are unfamiliar with the religion of Islam, there are multiple different sects, S-E-C-T-S, sects of Islam. Specifically, the Shia and the Sunni are the two different kinds that are the most prominent. And I hope I don't get this wrong. I believe that Iran is Sunni and that most of Saudi Arabia is Shia. If I get that wrong, please correct me below. I believe that's correct. I didn't do too much research before this because I thought I knew most of what I needed to know. But there is a divide between the two countries when it comes to Islam and the forms of Islam that they use. One is more progressive than the other one. One is a much more fundamental version of Islam that I can't talk today. Iran subscribes to. You've probably seen a lot of the country of Iran in the news here recently because of a lot of the revolts that are going on, a lot of the tension there. Saudi Arabia is brokering deals with Israel. Saudi Arabia is brokering deals with the U.S. But the country of China and Xi Jinping, the president over there, who was just elected by unanimous vote by like 2,600 electoral, whatever you want to call them, candidates in China, which seems ridiculous. We'll talk about that later. He is brokering, or has brokered, a deal between the two countries in order to regulate relations and to reestablish relations between the two countries, which is a good thing for peace in the country. That being said, this is more of a topic about China than it is about Iran and Saudi Arabia. And the reason I say that is because though Donald Trump went into the Middle East and created the Abrahamic Accords during his presidency, China has now seemed to fill a gap in the global political structure when it comes to brokering deals, when it comes to being the big brother that's going to be the interpreter or the middleman when it comes to brokering these deals. And that's a very dangerous place for China to be, because the United States of America in the past has been the guy who has been, mediating these kinds of agreements, which allowed the United States of America to get the best of both worlds and to get the best of the, of the deals when it comes to that, and also put themselves forward as the big brother of the entire world, who's the safekeeper and the peacekeeper, and the one who's creating global economic policy and global political policy and all of the things that America is known for, of being the big brother of the world. Now that China has stepped in this case and brokered this deal between these two countries, it seems like China is on the path in order to eclipse the United States of America when it comes to being the mediator of the world. And in this same vein, we need to talk about a meeting between President Xi Jinping of China. He will be meeting with both Vladimir Putin and Zelensky, I think in the coming week or then maybe next week, and attempting to do the same thing. And from the negotiations that I've heard, or about in the negotiations I've heard between Zelensky and Putin when it comes to the Ukrainian war, It seems like they had possibly had a deal that had been worked out between the two countries and the two leaders, but it was stifled or almost killed by the Biden administration and by parts of NATO. And so if China can go in there and offer to be a mediator and offer to be able to bridge the gap between these two countries in some economic or political way, China can insert themselves into this conflict and into the geopolitical landscape as the mediator between these distressed countries and this giant war that's going to continue to expand as time goes on. So this is really about China taking the forefront when it comes to geopolitics and taking over that role of big brother in the world when there's a giant weak spot when it comes to United States geopolitical policy. And I think that's a travesty because I think we had a chance or multiple chances in order to broker a deal between these two countries and get them both to come to the table in order to end this war, end the death, end the suffering, find peace somehow. Even if it wasn't an ideal situation for both sides, we could at least kind of cool the jets on this giant NATO versus Russia, Ukraine versus Russia, and then Ukraine plus NATO versus Russia ordeal. And I think we made a huge mistake, and China is taking advantage of that. China is taking serious advantage of that, and I think it's going to elevate them to a higher geopolitical power that we are now giving up. So that's my personal opinion. I want to hear your thoughts on the Ukraine-Russia war and China stepping in for that. I want to hear your thoughts on the deal struck between Saudi Arabia and Iran, and I would love to hear your thoughts about how I'm wrong about the Islamic faith and all the mistakes I made when it comes to the sects of the Islamic faith there. I would love to hear about that. Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe. Make sure you follow my Twitter, which is Colma63eth. My Rumble, where I can say more about interesting topics. That is David Coleman 27 or David Coleman. And then my Instagram is David Coleman YT, which I've been trying to be much more active on. So go ahead and follow those social media channels to hear more about my thoughts. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks.